and welcome to Inner Circle Guidance. Today we're going to be doing a collective reading, but for those of you who are new to the circle, hello and welcome. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. I post new videos every single day. And if you're looking for short daily tarot readings, I post on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, and Facebook. If you're looking for personal services or personal readings, I offer them through my website, innercircleguidance.com. Let's find out what you need to know today. What does the circle need to know today? We have the Hanged Man. We have the Five of Cups. We have the High Priestess. We have the Eight of Wands. We have the Death card. And we have the Four of Swords on the bottom of the deck here. All right. I'm seeing here that your love life or your relationships in general may sort of be on hold at the moment. And I'm seeing here with the Hanged Man and with the Four of Swords that Spirit is asking you to reflect at this time before moving forward. You're being asked to look at things from a different perspective. And the Hanged Man, to me, often has this sort of Peter Pan kind of quality to it. And that can go one of two ways. That can be more of the I never want to grow up type of vibe, where there's a bit of an innocence, there's a playfulness, there's maybe a bit of immaturity. Could also have to do with childhood and your childhood heavily affecting the situation. And in this particular case, I would say, depending on which group you fall into, it could be a little bit of both, or it could be leaning more towards your childhood. You're being asked to reflect at this time on how your childhood has affected your relationships. And this could have to do with the negative stigmas that are just considered socially acceptable. And I talked about this in another reading of phrases like, oh, I need to find that person who completes me, or I need to find my better half. These are tropes that are used in a lot of movies and a lot of music, and they're not honestly super beneficial in terms of they don't exemplify a positive, healthy relationship. And so you're being asked to reflect at this time, and you are actually being asked to reflect on the negative at this time, which is interesting because I always say you need to keep a positive mindset. However, you're actually being asked to focus on the negative at this time and focus on what you don't want so that you can get clear on what you do want. And so there's going to be a lot of downloads coming in right now. There's going to be a lot of messages, a lot of synchronicities. You're being asked to really pay attention to your intuition at this time. You may need additional journaling time. You may need additional meditation time, or extra time to sleep and rest, because these downloads can be very emotionally exhausting. And it's because you have a transformation or an ending or both coming in here soon, having to do with these old, outdated mindsets that are no longer serving you. And you're being asked to put away some of these mindsets and do away with them. And we see that here with the swords. There's 4 swords, 3 of them are above this person who is resting, who is thinking. And 1 down here is like put away. And some of these things that you are thinking about are going to be important because they're negative things that could harm you later if you don't change these thought patterns or these behaviors. And so with these 3 swords, they're hanging above this person who's very calmly thinking and resting. But at any time, they really could just fall off the wall and impale him. But he seems very unbothered by this. You need to stop ignoring these swords and put them away. And so let's get a couple more cards here. I just heard you need to think back to one of the first romance, either books, movies, songs that really made an impact on you. And think about the romantic or friend or family tropes that are in that particular movie, song, or book. And you need to pick them apart and analyze what attracted you to that in the first place. All right. We have Justice. We have the Ace of Cups. We have the Queen of Pentacles. We have the Sun. We have the Eight of Pentacles. And on the bottom of the deck, we have the Devil. This is interesting because the story that comes to mind, I think you all are going to laugh at. So I just heard Goldilocks. So I'm sure the majority of you know the story of Goldilocks, but essentially she ends up going into this like family of bears house. And she tries to find the perfect chair, the perfect porridge, and the perfect bed. And as she's going along, she's saying, this one's too small, this one's too big, this one's just right. And the reason I bring that up is because there are, I would say, 4 main types of relationships in terms of like, I'm trying to figure out how to word this. Like, I guess there's 4 major types of patterns in relationships. And the extremity of those varies dependent on that particular relationship. But we have the F-boy or F-girl, which falls into like the hard to get or non-committed type of trope. The bad boy or the bad girl type of trope. We have the person who overgives in the relationship, the person who parents their partner, the person who overly guides their partner, who ends up taking on all the responsibilities of their partner and makes their partner's happiness their main priority, and then gets mad and frustrated because it's not reciprocated, and that energy ends up depleting them. Then we have the codependent partner who is dependent solely on their partner, who entirely wants their partner to be responsible for their happiness and is very dependent on their partner in all aspects of their life. And then we have the supporter, who is somebody who is more of the energy of somebody who will support their partner. They want to see them succeed. They love them, but they don't take on the responsibilities that are not theirs to take on for their partner. And I'm seeing that reflected in all these cards. So we have here, I always talk about how the Queen of Pentacles is somebody who will give to the point of overgiving, and somebody who will even do it in the background, and the person may not even be aware. Somebody who tries to guide the other person to making the right decisions. So we have that person reflected in the Queen of Pentacles. We have the supporter role reflected in the Ace of Cups, because the Ace of Cups has a lot to do with self-love, a lot to do with an overflow of happiness and balance. We have the codependent partner, which is here in the Devil, which this could actually also be reflected in the F-boy or F-girl category as well. But I actually saw that in this one, which is the partner that you always have to, they're like a project and you always have to chase after them. And there's always like an additional amount of work that's even more than the Queen of Pentacles. And so it's natural to switch between these different categories in a relationship. Not so much, I would say, the one that's the F-boy or the F-girl, because that's just usually never going to end up into any relationship. Statistically, it never leads to a positive relationship, because when you're always spending all your romantic energy on chasing someone, you're never actually getting to know them. And statistically, those relationships never work out. But other than that one, I would say it's natural to go between the leader, the support, or sorry, the leader, the provider, because that is what makes people feel important. It makes them feel like they can be nurturing and those things. It's natural to switch between that, needing some support more often from your partner at times, and being the supporter. Those are the more three, I would say, healthy, as long as you are balanced in that energy. These are the more healthy types of aspects in relationships. The problem is when you get stuck in one, unless it's the supporter one, because that one tends to be more on the healthier side where the energy is more balanced. But between the more dependent and the more leader, take the lead, nurture energies, those two are usually, if you end up staying in those energies, either of them, too long, the energy of the relationship is imbalanced. And so you're being asked to figure out which category you fall into, or which category you end up being attracted to. And this is coming largely from your past. This is going to come from your parents. This is going to come from your influences as a child. This is going to come from the way your first love impacted your life. And this is going to come from the different stimuli and, what's the word I'm looking for? Impressions that you were given as a child. And you're being asked to balance this energy. If you're not falling more into that supporter role where it's more balanced as is, you're being asked to figure out how you can balance that energy. And part of that is, if you are the person who wants to be nurturing and all those things, oftentimes this comes from a place of wanting to feel important, wanting to feel like we are competent, that we are needed. And so if that is the case for you, you need to figure out why you overgive in relationships. And it's funny because oftentimes people think that they only have issues in relationships that are romantic. But actually, oftentimes, all of these issues are present in every relationship, whether it is romantic or not. And the reason for that is because a lot of these are all the same types of issues that go along regardless of whether it is romantic or not. It is relevant to relationships. And the reason why our romantic relationships seem to be so obvious to us is because we tend to spend the most time with our partner. So you need to figure out, if you are the overgiver, figure out why you do that. Maybe it's because your parents never made you feel important as a child. And so you tend to overgive in relationships because you need to feel important. There are other healthier places that you can do this. If it's that you want to feel competent, maybe you find another area of your life to feel competent in. But this goes for all areas of these types of energies. If you are the type of person who is more dependent on your partner, and it is because you need that stability, maybe you need to find stability for yourself in other areas of your life. Now, the F-boy and the F-girl one is a little more complicated, because if you're attracted to that energy, you need to figure out why. You need to figure out what it is that's appealing. Oftentimes, you'll come to find that it's because you have grown attached to the adrenaline or the frustration or the high highs and the low lows of that relationship. F-boy and F-girls, oftentimes, the reason why they fall into that category is because these relationships are always the most extreme in terms of emotion, because it drags you from one side of the spectrum to the other, and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And that actually is a form of delayed, what's the word I'm looking for? Oh my gosh, delayed, I keep wanting to say modification, and that is not the word. Gratification, there we go. Delayed gratification. And when you have delayed gratification, your brain actually releases certain chemicals that make you feel very elated, because it's such an extreme between like that feeling and then feeling very downtrodden and like disappointed and all those things. And so you can actually get addicted to that feeling. So if you fall into that category, or if you're interested in people in that category, you need to start looking at maybe other areas where you can create that adrenaline for yourself elsewhere in a more healthy environment. And so you're being asked to balance all these energies. You're being asked to find the justice in them in terms of what needs to end, what needs to transform, and what needs to be put away, what needs to be worked through, all those things, so that you can move forward in your relationships in a happy and healthy way. So I'm going to just grab one card from the Signs of the Time Oracle deck. Just one card for any additional guidance here that you may need regarding this situation. I don't remember if I actually said this, but with the whole Goldilocks thing, this reading is about finding that balance that is just right in your relationships. So that's where the Goldilocks reference came from. I don't know if I actually finished that thought, because I started going into the different types of relationships. So in case I didn't, there's your final explanation on that. Smiley face, joy. Angel number 30 may be an additional message for you here. So what I'm getting from this is that what's going to help you decipher some of these energies is following your joy, not your adrenaline. Let me be clear on that. Your joy, your peace, not people who make you feel imbalanced, people who make you feel grounded, ways that you're able to feel grounded in the relationship. What boundaries can you draw that help you feel grounded, help you feel joyful? You're being asked to focus on that at this time. All right, so if this reading resonated with you, don't forget to like this video. And your affirmation for this reading is I am finding the energy that is just right in my relationships. And as always, may your life be full of light, full of love, abundance, and gratitude. I'll see you next time.